Hello guys, my name is Harsh Sangwan, and from this video I'll be starting a new series called Complete JS Mastery, where I'll be covering everything about JavaScript, making some good front-end and back-end projects, and covering every single topic that is there in JavaScript. So in this video I'll be talking about uh, just me, let me check whether the stream is working. Yeah. So in this video I'll be talking about what is JS and where it is used, with it JS compiled or interpreted, introduction to data types and variables, some basic operators like assignment, logical and boolean, control flow statement like if else, for loop, do while loop, switch while loop, etc. So these topics will be covered in this video. So let's just get started. Now first question arises, what is JS and where it is used? So JS is a synchronous, single-threaded, dynamically typed, just-in-time compiled language used for making dynamic and interactive websites. So that is hell a lot of things in this jargons in this statement. So let's decode them one by one. Synchronous mean one line at a time. That means we are going to execute the program first. The engine or the runtime environment is gonna execute the code one by one, line by line, just like 1, 2, 3, and so on. So it's not gonna happen like we cannot go from 2 to 4 and 4 to 10. It cannot happen like this. So that is not meant by synchronous. Single threaded means there is only one single thread that is going to execute the program. There are not multiple threads coming parallelly and execute piece of code one at a time, one thread at a time. That is not going to happen. There is only one single thread that is going to execute the entire program. Now just-in-time compiled means the code is getting compiled and executed at the same time. Compilation is done, then the hot code is generated, then the interpreter is going to execute the program. That is what meant by just-in-time compiled. And dynamic and interactive website means that let's just go to Amazon, and if you see there are nav bar, hovering effect is there on the boxes, search box is there, you can type something. So all of this interactivity is done using JavaScript. So there is a JS engine present inside the browser which is going to execute the JavaScript code that is present on the website, and that is how it is working. So you just need a browser to run JavaScript, and if you want to run it locally in the machine, then you can download something called as Node.js. So Node.js is a JavaScript runtime environment that is going to locally run the code inside your local machine. So installing Node.js is something that if you guys want, I can make a separate video on this, installing Node.js. And you need a code editor. So for this in this series I will be using VS Code as my code editor. So you can just search, download VS Code. There are multiple options available. You can also use WebStorm, or you can also use Sublime Text. WebStorm is also an option. Yeah, it is provided by JetBrains. So you can download any of the 3 code editors, and you need to install Node.js if you want to run it locally in the machine. So I have just written a basic code in JavaScript inside the web browser. I have gone to about blank, open the developer console using command option I, control shift I in Windows. So I want to execute some code, just write this code, and it is giving me the output. So you can run the JavaScript inside your browser, and if you want to run locally, then you can do something like script.js is the file name, where x equals to console.log x, and hit run command. Then it is going to execute and give me the output as 2. Yeah, so that's a brief about JavaScript. So we have covered what is JS and where it is used. Just JS is compiled or interpreted, it is just in time compiled, and there are multiple engines available. Chrome is using V8, SpiderMonkey is being used by Mozilla Firefox, Chakra is used by Microsoft Edge, Nitro is used by Apple Safari in web browser. So these are the web browsers and their respective engines in the web browser are that can basically be pre-installed inside the browser. So let's talk about data types and variables. How to declare how to declare a variable in JavaScript and what is the data type of it. Okay, so let me check whether the stream is working or not. Just a sec. Give me a second. I think it is working, but why it is not showing me in the YouTube? Yeah, it is working.
And you can do something like
Hello. Yeah, it is working.
I think it is working, but why it is not showing me in the YouTube?
Yeah, so let's just go to the next topic, that is introduction to data types. So basically there are two types of data types. One is primitive types, other one is, I think misspelled the spelling of primitive. Second one is non-primitive types. Primitive types include number, string, boolean, undefined, null, big int, and symbol. Whereas non-primitive types include functions, object, array. So these are two major types in JavaScript. First one is primitive types, second one is non-primitive types. Whereas primitive types include 7. There are 7 primitive types, and there are 3 major non-primitive types. So in this video I'll be covering about primitive types only. In the upcoming videos I will cover non-primitive types. So let's get started. Okay. So here I have declared the variable named as x. So you can declare the variables using var, let, and const are used for variable declaration. Okay, var, let, and const keyword are used for variable declaration. So I have declared x. So if I type of x, that is going to be a number because we are storing 2 inside it. If I store a string, then it is also accepting the string. So what exactly is its type? So basically JS is dynamic type, which means the type of the variable is going to be determined at the runtime. So at the runtime, in the starting it is 2, and at the end it is get converted to a string. So at the end it is going to give us a string because it is a runtime dynamic type language. So that is why there is no explicit type associated like integer, float, or decimal like double, long. There are no such types in JavaScript. There is only number, and there is no decimal. You can also store the decimal as well in the same variable 2.3. That is also going to give us a number. Number, string are done. So next type is let's say we want to store truthy or false boolean value, that is true. So type of x will give us boolean, so that is boolean. Now if I write x equals to undefined, Now x is undefined, type of x will be undefined, because undefined is also a type, which means that the variable has not been yet defined. So if I create another variable, let y is undefined, so type of y will give us undefined because it has not been initialized any value, that is undefined. So we can also store null inside it. Type of x will give us object. That is a bug in JavaScript because null points to a memory location named 0. uh, Basically its bytecode is converted into 0, so 0 is associated with an object. So that is why type of null is a bug in JavaScript, so that is why it is giving us an object. Otherwise null is also a type. Now if we want to store, let's say d equals to number dot max safe integer, and if we want to increase its value, we can do it by a plus plus increment operator. If we want to further increase the value, then it is not going to do so, because number can only handle up to this range. If we want to store beyond this range, then we have to do use big int, like this. Place an keyword n at the end, and it is going to give us type of d will be big int. So if you want to store beyond this range, then we have to use big int, or you can use big int. It was big int literal in the beginning, or you can use the constructor of big int, like this. The type of d will be big int. And we have another type named as symbol. You can declare it like this. Okay, I have not placed the double quotes. So type of d will give us symbol. So basically there are these 7 primitive types in JavaScript. So I will just declare it as data types.js. So this will give us these are primitive types. ABC, if I assign it a string, then it is going type of x will be, what do you guys say, it will be string or number? It will be string, yes. So if I assign true, then it is going to give us boolean, as we have seen in the web browser. If I assign it undefined, it is going to give us type of x as undefined. If I assign x equal to null, then it is going to give us object. That is a bug in JavaScript. Object. This is a bug in JavaScript. If I assign big int, I need to pass it in a string. Have I passed? Yeah. So because this is a big number, it is going to be passed in a string. Type of x will be big int. If I want to assign a symbol type, then I have to do something like this. Console.log type of x will be symbol. So let's just quickly run it and see whether this is correct or not. So first it is giving us number, then string, then boolean, then undefined, then object, then big int, then symbol. So these are 7 primitive types in JavaScript that we have discussed now. And in the upcoming lecture, in the next lecture, I guess I will be covering non-primitive types, function, object, and arrays. So what's the next topic, guys? It's basic operators, assignment, logical, and boolean operators. So let's just briefly talk about operators.js. So first one is, I think it should be arithmetic, not assignment. arithmetic. Yeah. Operators in JS. Arithmetic operators. So let's say we have a number as this and we want to perform some mathematical or arithmetic operations like x plus 2, or we want to multiply it with 2, or if we want to divide, or if we want to raise to the power of 2, then we can do double asterisk and write 2 after it. And if we want to calculate the remainder, then this is going to be giving us the remainder raised to the power of 2 divided by 2 multiply by 2 add with 2 subtract 2 from x. So let's see the output, guys. So just run it. X plus 2 will give us 4. X minus 2, 2 minus 2. We have not we have just printed the value x plus 2. We have not assigned it to x. So that is why the x minus 2 will be 0. X into 2 will give us 4. X by 2 will give us 1. X raised to the power of 2 will give us 4. X divided by 2 divided by 2 will give the remainder as 0. So these are arithmetic operators. Now let's talk about logical operators. Let's say we have x as true, y as false. So variables can be declared using let, var, and next. Arithmetic operator, then the logical operators comes into the picture, and logical operators are x or 2, x and y not x. So true or true, this is true and true, this is not true. So this is going to give us true, this will be giving us true, and this will be giving us as a false. So y is false, so x or y is true, x and y is false, and not x is false. So true, false, false. True, false, and false. So this is going to the output. Am I showing the mouse? Okay. Yeah, mouse is also visible, I guess. Yeah. So these are the logical operators, and then comes the bitwise operators. So you can also redeclare the variable like this, where x2, then also again you are redeclaring. That is fine in JavaScript. This is not going to throw an error. So what are the bitwise operators? Let me just check them. Let's say x is 2 and y is also 2. So bitwise operators are console x or x or y. x and y. Notice there is a single and operator in between. That is why this is known as bitwise. X left shift 1, x right shift 1, not x, invert all the bits. So basically this is going to set all the bits set all the bits. So 2 is having the representation as, in the binary 2 is represented as 1 0, and in the y also we are having 1 0. So x or y, which means this is going to give us 2. See, this is going to give us 2. So x and y, let me just change the number. So 3 can be represented as 1 1. So see, 0 or 1 is going to give us 1. 1 or 1 is going to give us 1. So that will be 1 1. That will give us 3. And in case of AND operator, it is going to give us 1 0. That will be 2. That is why it is giving us 2. X left shift 1 means shift the left bit of 1 by number 1. Shift the bit by 1. X is shift the, add 0 from the right, shift bits to the left. Why it is giving 4? Okay, 2 left shift 1. Okay, so this is the 32-bit number, so it is going to left shift the bit by 1, so that is going to be 1 0 0. Remaining 32-bit number, 32 minus 3 will give us 28, so 28 zeros, then 1 0 0. The first bit is reserved for the sign of the number, that is why 28 plus 3 31, and 32 will be the most significant bit. So it is going to give us 4. Right shift, it is 1 0, so it is going to give us 0 1. Invert the bits. Invert the bits 0 1. Why it is given inverse of 2? (32-bit). Okay, flip the minus n plus 1, applying flip all bits. Okay, I'm not much familiar with the bit this operator, so I don't know what is going to be the output for this. So that's in brief about the operators in JS: arithmetic, logical, and bitwise. Now the next topic is basic if else conditions and control flow. So let me just create another file. So how do we like assess the condition? So let's say we have Ram who has scored 92 marks, and let's say we are given a problem where if the marks are between 90 and 100, then give grade as A. If marks are between 80 and 90, then give the grade as B. If marks are between 70 and 80, then give the grade as C. If the marks are between 60 and 70, then give the grade as D. Otherwise, give the grade as F. Let's say we are given this problem. Now, how we are going to write the code? So for this purpose, we have if and else conditions, if and else operators, conditions. So if run, let's say this is score. If score is greater than equal to 90 and that's the, okay, not like this, double and then console log dot a, else if score is between less than 90, then give the grade as B. Else if score is score is greater than equal to 70 and score is, okay, I again misspelled, score is less than 80, then give the grade as C. Score is greater than 60 and score is less than 70, then give the grade as D. Otherwise, give the grade as F. This is going to be our code. So score is 92, so it is going to hit this condition and the remaining conditions will be discarded. It is going to give us A. So if the score is between 80 and 90, let's say 87, then it is going to hit this condition, which is score B. If it is 78, then it is going to hit this condition, then the output will be C. Okay, output will be C. Then if between 68 greater than 60 less than 70, then D will be the output. Otherwise, F will be the output. So now you guys are familiar with if else. Now there is one similar thing which is known as switch condition. So let's say we have a variable called as day. So if we wanna like map the numbers from 1 to 7 to the respective days, then we have to write a lot of if and else conditions, like if day is 1, then Monday, else if. So there's going to be nested if else conditions. So instead of this, what we can do, we can use something called as switch parenthesis day. We have to write case. Now case if it is like if day is 1, so we can write case 1 semicolon double colon, case is 1, then console.log Monday, and we have to write break so that it breaks out of the switch condition, switch statement. If case is 2, then console.log Tuesday, break. If case is 3, console.log Wednesday, break. Case 4, console.log Thursday, break. Case 5, console.log Friday, break. Case 6, console.log Saturday. Break case 7 console.log Sunday. Break default console.log invalid number provided. So if none of the case matches, then it is going to hit the default condition and say invalid number provided. So if the day is 1, then it has to be Monday. See, Monday is coming up. 5. Friday is coming up. 7. Sunday. So if I write 10, then it is going to say invalid number provided. So that's a brief about if else and such condition statements. So let's just go to the loops. So let's say if we want to print the number from 1 to 10, what we have to do, we will write console.log 1, then we will replicate it 10 times. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we have to replicate the code. So in programming, we usually follow a try principle, which means do not repeat yourself. So we are repeating it multiple times. So that is not a good practice. So to resolve this problem, we have something called as loops. So what does for loop requires? For loop requires for keyword followed by 2 parentheses. Then comes the declaration, what variable we are going to declare inside our for loop. So let's say we want to write x. Then comes the condition, up to which point we want to run the loop. We want to run it till 10. Now comes the increment condition, how we want to increment, whether we want to increment with 2, 3, 1 or 4. We want to increment it with 1. So you can write it like this, or you can write it like this. Same, both will work, like this, or x plus plus, like this. Now what we want to do, we want to console.log. So let's say we'll write this. So this is going to print 10 times, 1 to 10 numbers. Yeah. Now there is another loop called as while loop. This is for loop, while loop. Let's say we have a variable named as y. Again we want to print to 10, so we will write the condition y less than equal to 10, and then we are going to open the parenthesis console.log y and then the increment condition. Now there is another loop, do while loop. Let's say we have z as 1, do console.log z plus plus while z is less than equal to 10. So this is how we can write in the 3 loops: for loop, while loop, and do while loop. So these are the 3 loops that we have in JavaScript that we can use to remove the redundant code and write something that we want to repeat itself some fixed number of times. That is how we are going to write loops. So let's say we are given a problem and we want to identify whether the number is prime or not. So let's say is prime.js. What is this file? Tempo runner. Let's just remove it. Is prime. So let's say we are given a number, let num equals to 10. Now what we have to check for the prime number, if it is divisible by any number between from 2 till num minus 1. If it is divisible by that, if a number is not divisible by the numbers between 2 and num minus 1, then the number is prime. Or in other words, if number of factors are 2, then the number is prime. So for let I equal to 2, I less than num I plus plus. If num mod I equals 0, if the number is divisible, we can simply print number is not prime, and we can break. Now break is used to break the condition out, break the logic out of the loop. It is going to be terminated and it is going to come out of the loop. Otherwise we can say or we also need a flag variable. Flag is false. So let's say initially it is true, then if it is divisible, flag will be false. If flag console.log number is prime. Okay, if num is not equal to 1 and yes. So 10 is not a prime number, so it is going to say number is not prime. Or I can also write it like this: num comma is not a prime number, is not a prime number, is a prime number. Yeah, so that works. Let's say we are given number as 2, so 2 is a prime number. Yeah, 2 is, it is giving us correct answer. So that is brief about the switch statements, if else conditions, do while, for loop. So that is just a brief about these topics. So what else is left? This is done, this is also done, this is also done. Right, so we have covered all the topics in today's lecture. So what's the time guys? It's 10:03. Okay, let me just check the screen.
Okay, not like this. Double and.
Yeah, so we can cover the primitive, non-primitive types as well. So first let's just go to nodes, not nodes, data. So non-primitive types are like array. So if we want to declare an array in JavaScript, what we have to do, we can simply declare it like this, where arr is going to be the variable name, and we can define it in double square brackets. You can hold any type of data inside it. It is not just that you can only hold the number. It is a dynamically typed language, so you can hold any type of data. For example, strings, you can hold boolean, you can hold null, you can hold undefined, you can store symbol. So any type of data you can store it, and you can just do console.log arr. It is going to give us the output. As you can see, here is the output. So this is another type. So if I write type of, what do you guys say? What will be the output of this? My guess would be object. So let's just see it. Yeah, it is giving us object. So And or it also array is if you write something like arr instance of array, is it is an is it in is it an object of array? Yes, of course it is an object of array, so it is going to give us object and true. Now what is this array? We are going to talk about it in the later part of the course. For now, just understand that this is just a class and this is an instance of it. When we will discuss the prototypal inheritance, now that in that lecture I will be covering array, object, function, and yeah. So that is our first type. That is first type of the non-primitive types. That is object, and we have another, or I can write array/object. We have another type called function. So how do you declare a function in JavaScript? Basically you use the function keyword, function, then write the function name. This is known as function declaration, function test. This is a test function. Now how do you call it? Simply write test, call it, and it is going to give us, this is the test function. This is a test function. Now there are a couple of more ways to declare functions. Second one is function expression. Use a variable to declare the function, where show equals, write the function keyword and simply write console.log I am a show function. Now third way is arrow function, where arrow fn. But what we have to do is we have to write square brackets, equal to sign, greater than symbol, and open the curly braces and write inside this console.log I am an arrow function. Now there is one more type of function that is called as ify function. Immediately invoke function expression. You can write it like this: function I am an ify function. So what did I do here? Inside the square, inside the curly square, inside the two parentheses, I have declared a function keyword, or you can write this as well. Totally fine. No need to name the function. Yeah. So just invoke it, declare it, and immediately invoke it. That is why it is known as immediately invoked function. Now function expression is also known as, or it is also can be called as function anonymous function, which means it does not have a name. This function is not having any name. We are just writing the function and assigning it to a variable. That is why we are also able to see that we can assign function to a variable. That is not quite the case in other programming languages like C, C++, C#, or Java. So in those we cannot assign function to a variable, but in this JavaScript variable gives us the flexibility to write function inside the variables as well. So that is why the functions are also called as first class citizens. Functions are also called as first class citizens, as we can declare them inside as we can treat them as variables. Let me just grab a bottle of water. Now these are the four types of functions that are used in JavaScript. Most commonly used is function declaration and function expression. Also arrow functions have been introduced in ECMA. I don't know the version. When were arrow functions were in so ECMA 2000 ECMAScript 2015 they were introduced. So you have to not write the function keyword, and if you want to return something then you can simply return it without writing the return condition. Now let's talk about the execution part of the code. How is JS program executed? So that's a very important thing to understand how a JS program is executed. Memory. So first part is memory allocation phase. Now second part is code execution. In the memory allocation phase, all the variables are given undefined value. And memory is allocated to functions. So that means in the, let's say we have this in the memory allocation phase we have this program, this whole program. So what is going to happen? What are the variables? First of all, calculate the number of variables, and we have something known as call stack. This is call stack. So everything inside this script is going to be under the global execution context, that is known as GEC. This is global execution context. Everything is going to happen inside this GEC, global execution context. First one was the memory allocation phase. All the variables given undefined value. B, memory is allocated to functions. So what memory, what type of memory, what kind of memory? So basically variables, all the variables are, how many variables are there in this script? ARR is one variable, show is another variable, arrow fn is another variable. So ARR is going to be undefined, show is going to be undefined, arrow fn is going to be undefined, and function is going to be allocated memory with its whole code, test code, whatever code is written inside this. Okay, that is clear. Now this will also be allocated some memory, ify function. So these are the things which will happen in the memory allocation phase. All the variables will be given undefined value, memory is going to be allocated to the functions. Now comes the code execution phase, in which code execution will happen line by line. So suppose I'm writing console.log arr before even declaring the variable. Before even declaring, I'm writing it. And suppose if I'm writing show before even declaring it, and same with the arrow function. Now, and suppose if I write console.log test. Now, what do you guys say? What will be the output of this code? For now, let's just comment out other console.logs. This one, this ify function. Let's just comment this one as well. So what do you say? What will the ARR test and arrowfn will give us? See, amazing thing is happening. ARR is getting undefined because in the memory allocation phase is done before even before the execution happens. Memory allocation phase is executed it has memory allocation phase happens before execution happens. So ARR is undefined, and when the memory execution happens, first we will hit this line. That is why it is giving us undefined. Now test is allocated the whole code of the function. That is why it is giving us function test. Now show is a variable, it is not a function, it is a variable, because JavaScript doesn't know what kind of data is it holding it. So as I said, all the variables are given undefined value, so this is just a variable. That is why it is giving us undefined. Now arrowfn is just a variable. That is why it is also giving us undefined. Now what if I call this test even before declaring it? What if I do this? Because it has been assigned the entire code of the function, it is going to execute as it is. So this line and this line means the same, which means that it has hoisted itself from the top of the script. That is what hoisting is. It is nothing fancy, that it's just a fancy term. It is nothing but memory allocation phase. So what if I call this show? It is going to throw an error because undefined, I'm calling undefined. It is like calling undefined like this. So it is going to throw me an error because undefined is nothing but just a type. It is not a function. So it will give me an error. See, show is not a function because it's a variable and it is undefined and you are calling undefined. Now what if you call undefined in this? Let's just test it. But if you do this, it is going to throw an error. What type of error? Type error, which means script will execute before this, but as soon as it hits the condition undefined, calling undefined, it will throw me an error. That is why it is giving is the type error. So what is the difference between function expression and function declaration? Hoisting is the difference. We can call the function declaration even before declaring it, and we can easily call it and it will give us the desired output. But we cannot call the function expression because it is going to be throwing an error because of the variable is getting undefined memory inside the memory allocation phase. That is the difference between the function expression and function declaration. Now let's just talk about objects. So we have also covered hoisting, function declaration, hoisting in JS is also done. Types of function is also done. Now I'm going to talk about objects. What are objects in JS? Since JavaScript is a scripting, functional programming, functional object based, it is not object oriented, it is object based, which means you do not have to declare the classes to initialize the objects. You can declare the objects as it is without even declaring the class, which means it is object based, it is not object oriented. So there is a huge difference between Java and JavaScript. Java is object oriented, JavaScript is object based, which means that you can declare the objects even without the classes. So let's just talk about objects. objects.js. Let's say we are given an object obj. Let's say we are given obj, name is Harsh, age is 22, email is hsang1 2002@gmail.com, is married, false. We can also store another object inside the object. Country, let's say address, country India, state Haryana, code 122001. So this is what an object looks like. You just define a key and a value. Key can be number, keyword like a variable like this, or a symbol. How to declare? Let me just check it. How to declare symbol as a key in JS object. Yeah. Now just console log the object. What will it give? It will give the entire object. Name, age married, address, etc. Now what if we want to extract a single property out of it? We can do like object.name, we can do it like object.address.country. You can use the dot operator for extracting the properties inside an object. There is another thing. You can also use the square bracket operator. Console.log. What I mean by this? Like this. It will be passed in a string. See? Harsh India Harsh. Harsh India Harsh. Now what's the difference between the dot operator and the square bracket operator? Okay, let's see this. For example, we have a key named as address. Now what if I do object.key, and what if I do console.log object of key? In case of dot operator, it is simply going to check whether the key property is there or not. But in case of square bracket operator, it is going to destructure the key property, which in case this will be address will be placed over here, and it is going to search for the address key. So if you see the output, here I am getting undefined, here I am getting the entire address object. So that is the difference between the dot operator and the square bracket operator. It is can handle the dynamic data, but in case of dot operator, it cannot handle the dynamic data. Now there is a for in loop. In case of, you can use for let key in obj to destructure the properties. Console.log. If I do object.key, it will print undefined. If I do object of key, then it will give me the key output. See, I will comment out the other console.logs so that you can see properly what's happening. See, okay, got it. Yeah, now it should work fine. Yeah. So first we are using object dot key. It will give us undefined because key is not present inside our object. It is going to destruct in case of square bracket operator. So you will get Harsh22 at sang12002@gmail.com false and the address object. So that is the difference between dot operator and square bracket operator. Yeah, so we have covered all of these things. Where is the eraser, guys? This is also done. So far we have now covered, till now we have covered basic what is JS and where it is used. JS is compiled or interpreted, introduction to the data types and variables, basic arithmetic operators, logical and boolean operators, if else condition, while, switch, do while, for loop, function declaration, hoisting, what is hoisting in JS, and type of function. Now let's just see couple of questions. Undefined, none, or let's just say questions. Now there are two types of operator which are used to check the equality. First one is double equal to, second one is triple equal to. What's the difference? Let's say we want to say 2 equal to 2 and 2 triple equal to string 2. In the first case, it is going to say true. Second case, it is going to say false. Now that is very weird. That is the starting of JS. That is why it is called the weird programming language. 2 equals to 2 means that there will be first type conversion. Type conversion means simply converting one type to another type. So it is going to convert the string type to the number type. Then it is going to compare the value. Now in case of triple equal to, it is a strict comparison, which means it is not going to do the type conversion. It is first going to check the types and then the values. So that is why it will say that the type of this is string. Hey, this is the type of this is number. How we are comparing these? Then the answer will be false. So let's just see the output. So first one is true, second one is false. There is one another question, popular question. Console.log null equal to undefined and null triple equal to undefined. Null is nothing but treated as a 0. Undefined is nothing, it is not holding any value. So both the types are going to be coerced into one single type and the value will be none. So it is going to give us true. Now type of them are different. First one is object, second one is undefined. So it is going to give us false. Let's just check it. Okay. Console.log. Okay, I just mistyped it. Okay. Forgot to type log. Yeah. So true false. Right. Now what if we do something like where let x equals to 2 plus undefined. Undefined is, if you do any type of operation with undefined, it is going to give us a nan, not a number. console.log nan. So it is going to give us nan, not a number. And type of nan is number, but it's not a number. So that is just JavaScript things. It is going to say number. That is a very weird, na? See, nan, and type of nan is number. Now what if you do console.log nan equal to nan? What do you say? What will be the output? It is going to be true. No way. It will be false. See, but why? Why it is happening? So nan can be originated from any type of mismatch operation with undefined, or basically if it is not a number. So let's say x equal to let's say y equal to 2 divided by 0, console.log y let me do 2 minus undefined. So it is going to be nan. This is also going to be nan, but they are originating from different mathematical operation. First one is from addition, second one is from subtraction. Since the origin is different, so that is why nan cannot be considered as true, because the same might occur from a different origin. So that is why it is giving us false. See, so these are some popular questions related to strict and loose comparison. So first one is called loose comparison and second one is called strict comparison. Right, so yeah, that's all for this video, guys, and let me know what do I need to cover in the next video. For now I'm thinking the what covering the strings and array functions of the array, and some more details, more nitty gritty details about the functions. Then the third video I'm thinking about covering lexical scope, function currying, lexical scope, closures, and yeah, so that's the plan for now. So let's just see what happens next. Thank you guys, bye bye, have a great day.